was windswept desert. No one went there except ostriches and ostrich hunters.
The Iblis Stone. It would whisper promises in his ear, offer him power for blood. But this time, Renato was sure he could master it.
And so, Bernardo went ostrich hunting. Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away.
Were all these things the Iblis Stone? Long hidden in a buried temple? Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now? Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals?
Trust a raven further than you could throw her. But did vertical drop count?
The ravens were already here, cawing in frustration. He was still searching for a way in. Good. And he hadn't come too late. There had to be some way to use the Iblis Stone. It was old, wasn't it? People were so much cleverer now. And Renato was pretty sure he was cleverer than most people. Ravens, at least, could not get past this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with tomb raiders. Renato hated cannon traps. Also, who reloaded these things anyway? He never figured that part out.
It was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made solid. Nervous, he picked it up. I can make you mighty. Who said that? Give me blood. It was the stone. Eager. Thirsty. Kill the Emperor's daughter. That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once.
And he had a sneaking suspicion the gem would try to control him.
Why not capture the core of Sky Ripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the Transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. "It's the core," said the stone anxiously. "Feed me death. That gives you the power to do what you want."
But even though Renato knew how evil the gem was, he had a clever plan for dealing with it.
Was he listening to a talking rock?
Ah, but the rock had a point. If the stone could truly turn him into a powerful warrior, he could defeat the Emperor with the very weapon the wicked old Toad had sought for himself.
To be a hero, you had to sacrifice old friends sometimes, especially when they've become enemies.
As he placed the impossibly black crystal in his gauntlet, Renato had a sudden vision. Charred fields covered in dead ravens below a black sun.
Was it the time of the lost gods before the Transcendent Emperor? Was it the future? Feed these souls, it whispered. Take the power. He could feel the stone's hunger for souls, its thirst for blood. All right, I get it. This was going to be interesting. The ravens on Zenobia's island were no match for Renato. They screamed as the stones sucked out their souls. And with each death, he felt stronger. Take the power, the stone told him.
He couldn't do worse with Zenobia than he'd done with the core, could he?
Didn't your mother tell you it's rude to stare? Snapped Renato, a little smug.
Zenobia was waiting for Renato. She was alone, confident as always. Fire danced at the tips of her claws.
Are you here to surrender? She seemed as cocksure as he felt. But she didn't know he had the stone. And I've missed you too, love. He chuckled.
She spotted the stone and bolted without another word.
Finally, Renato caught up to her. He had never seen her scared before. At school, she'd been the determined, brave one. Now her eyes were wide, frightened. He didn't like seeing her this way. "Kill her," whispered the stone. "You cannot win your rebellion without it. Please." "No," said Zenobia. "Not that way." Oh, they had been so close once. Could he really feed her soul to his demonic gem? But if he spared her, he would not get the full power of the stone. Oh, how could he be the hero he wanted to be? Renato hesitated. Zenobia was his greatest enemy. She was the Emperor's daughter and his greatest general, and the single person Renato least wanted to remove from this world, especially that way. She was holding her arms out before her, hands fluttering, fending him off with hopeless urgency. Nope, she was weaving a spell. He couldn't move.
This thing is evil, she said. She slid the Iblis stone out of its slot in his gauntlet and slipped it into a bag. Maybe we can learn from it.
She eyed him with a strange, wry, apologetic look. "I missed you too." And before he could move again, she was gone. Learn from the Iblis stone? What did that mean? Would she take it to the palace or to the observatory on the Nexus? If she thought it was evil, she wouldn't want it in the palace.
And, after all, it was evil, wasn't it?
Maybe I can outrace her to the observatory, thought Renato. Cats can run faster, but foxes can run longer. Renato felt a little sick. Ever since Zenobia had taken the stone from him, he'd felt an ache that wouldn't go away. He missed it. He wanted it back. He needed it back. Why hadn't he killed her when he had the chance? She was the enemy. He hadn't even seen her in 14 years. Why had he hesitated? You're a sucker for an empowered woman. Renato kicked himself. Don't make that mistake again. Zenobia thought the stone was evil. Was it?
Well, yes, but he still longed to have it back.
He'd felt so good killing ravens with it, and yet he'd felt unclean ever since he'd touched it. She confused him. She'd made him want to be a better fox, and then she'd abandoned him, never telling him she was the Emperor's daughter, never contacting him since. Well, who was she to tell him the stone was evil?
The scientist's toes were pointing arcane instruments at the stone and looking at it through prisms and reflections. "Mine," said Renato as he took back the stone. "Well, yeah, need it for science," croaked the toads. So he killed them. He felt better immediately. Smarter, too. "I thought you'd never come for me," whispered the stone. Then, a far-speaker toad croaked in something like Zenobia's voice.
Renato, leave the stone with the toads. It will swallow your soul. You'll kill everyone you love.
That did seem vaguely familiar. But Renato had an army to lead, an empire to bring down. Whispered the stone. It was right. Wasn't Zenobia the Emperor's greatest general? Wasn't Renato fighting for the rebellion? Of course she wouldn't want him to have it. "Wouldn't you make a better emperor than Lysander III?" added the stone. "You know what? I would," thought Renato. Or maybe he said it out loud. He would go see the council and lead their armies to victory. All he had to do was call them on the far speaker. Ah, damn. Well, wouldn't they be surprised anyway? Ah, the ruins. Renato had come there as a kid when it was still the fabulous city of Ubar, before the Emperor's ravens had come to pillage ancient books from its library and destroyed it. Now the rebel council lay hidden underneath the ruins. And between here and there, all these ravens to kill. They deserved it for what they'd done to the city. And the faster he could kill them, the more of a rush they gave him. Renato wondered how much Hypatia had known about the book she protected. Enough to tell her son to protect it. Enough to tell Renato to protect her son. He let her down there. Tried to be nice to Zenobia, not killing her at all. What did she do? She stole the gem from him and made him kill all those scientists. Next time she... whispered the stone. Ravens? Renato knew how the stone felt. Each raven he killed gave him a little jolt of pleasure. But he could only kill them so fast, and the pleasure wore off too quickly. Hopefully soon he would face a more powerful adversary. "Yes," whispered the stone. "The more power your enemy has, the more power I will give you. I will make you emperor. But not with a bunch of mangy ravens." Hey, why don't you guys fight in groups? Oh, I know. Because there's no I in team. As he reached the secret entrance, he was shocked to see Zenobia talking with the council. She bore a white flag. "The council has betrayed you," whispered the stone. "Kill them." "What are you doing here, love?" Renato demanded. "Come for the brown muffins?"
"She's worried about you,"
croaked the council speaker.
"We all are."
"You're not yourself," Zenobia said. Before they could get into the rest of the intervention, he leapt at her. Unfortunately, the council speaker blocked him, so he slew her and the other council members. "I'm not giving up," cried Zenobia as she darted off into the ruins. "I think I just killed the entire rebel council," said Renato.
See how much power they've given you.
"But they were on my side, weren't they?"
No one is on your side, except for me.
He set sail for the fleet. There, at least, there would be enemies to kill. Unless that was the Iblastone talking. He could never be sure. Anyway, who needed other rebels here? They'd only get in the way. A true hero fights alone after he's got all his friends killed. The portal was heavily guarded. Let's go someplace they really didn't want him to go. The world was so beautiful. Everything was glowing, breathing, alive. Except, okay, the ravens. But the wind was alive, like a million fingers caressing his hair. He'd never felt so powerful. He never felt so sexy. Somewhere down the path would be the Emperor. Renato would slay him, most powerful man in Erda. And the Iblastone would give Renato all that power. And he would be Emperor. And then he would set everyone free.
At last, he was face to face with Zenobia. She was still unarmed. No fire crackled from her claws.
Excellent. Kill her.
Whispered the stone. He raised his sword for the killing blow. "Is this what you really want?" she asked. "Or is it what the stone wants?"
Think of the power.
Insisted the stone. "I don't want to kill you," he told Zenobia, his arm still raised. "I know. But he could not put the sword down. It wants blood," he told her. "I know. Oh, help me," he said. "She stabbed herself." "Take my blood," she said.
No, you mustn't.
Cried the Iblis stone. "Oh no! Why did you..." He ran to embrace her, and she plunged her bloody dagger into his heart. "Why?" he said. "We'll be together in the halls of the valiant," she said. "I love you," he said. "Thank you." And the Iblis stone screamed, and then it began to glow. It burst into flames. It burned like an ember. And then it was ash that blew away in the wind. And Zenobia and Renato died in each other's arms.